The final update is a series about the one thing we don't talk about in startups: shutting down. The outcome we didn't reach. This is the chapter before the comeback story, and this is the second founder. Bob Matsuka started a company called Runtime Technologies in the late 1990s, during the birth of Silicon Alley in New York. This is before Y Combinator, Google, Amazon, and other playbooks for what a successful startup looked like. He stayed for 10 years, and by his own account, 5 years too long.
The biggest lesson I learned was knowing when to actually make that decision. I was in it for about 10 years, definitely 5 years too long.
His first 5 years weren't painful. They were the opposite: fun and electric. Silicon Alley, south of 14th Street, VCs throwing money at everything, everyone building something no one had built before.
The first 5 years were just amazing. We had a lot of success. We built things way ahead of what everybody else did. We developed some really cool new technologies. There was a sense of you were pioneers, literally a sense of exploring places that nobody else has seen before. So that's a good sign.
And then things changed. It was the same product, but a different feeling. The all-nighters that used to feel like a team charging at something together started to feel like one person holding up everything.
When an all-nighter becomes a team trying to meet the deliverables for a client, and it flips to you staying up all night staring out into the Hudson River, thinking about that payroll that you might not be able to make, or where's the dollar going to come from for sales. It got very dark and pressing and really hard. And I think the biggest thing was, it might have been my own fault. The reason I left the company is I just felt like it became more and more me putting in sort of Herculean efforts to try to make what I can make happen.
And when the work stopped being shared.
When it was a together activity, it felt great. It felt fun. It was hard, but it felt like we were in it together. When it became each of us trying to solve problems on our own, then it just was not, it wasn't fun.
There's something almost addictive about a team rowing in the same direction. It's infectious. And when everyone starts drifting somewhere different, you feel that too. He didn't make one big decision, a final meeting where everyone agreed it was over. He just knew it was time to walk away.
Basically, for my own mental health, had to separate myself from my business. It was 10 years, I wasn't getting anywhere, and I wasn't happy.
And when things stop working, it takes a toll. And too many founders keep going past the point where it makes any sense anymore. It takes courage to know when to stop. I know because I had to make that call too. With Bunny, there was a moment when I realized I couldn't sustain this anymore. Keep going and praying something would change, or stop while I still recognize myself. I chose to stop because I could see exactly where this was heading. Losing my fellow founders as friends, burning bridges with our angel investors, draining my savings, and for what? To say I was a startup founder? That was a hill I wasn't going to die on. That's one of my proudest moments, knowing when to walk away before we lost something we couldn't get back. Bob got there too. Next week, chapter 2.2. Cash flow positive-ish, when you have just enough money to keep things going.